it's just it varies so much.
So what you're suggesting when we extrapolate all the information is that the clubhouse being more like a radio programming uh,
Interactive, yeah.
without the visual
Hmm.
is getting longer as the visual things are getting short. The visual combination of
Yeah.
that, the
In that
video and
particular
word.
case, they are. I think, I think YouTube has always been small bites. It's never
Yeah,
been, for a lot of it.
right.
So I think maybe you can't handle too much of the video for too long kind of things, unless it's an educational type, teach you how to do something kind of thing, then you could go
Right.
longer. But it's fascinating. I have to be honest, I haven't spent that much time on Clubhouse, other than speaking for them and doing some things here and there. But I think that I just feel so overwhelmed by too many places to be. Like, okay, so I have to put this kind of a picture here, and I got to put that kind of a sound there. And I just keep kind of thinking, well, it's got to become easier to not have to. When I do my show, just the time it takes to find out the guest hashtags and the guest at signs and the guest this and the guest that to come up with what I can fit on Twitter is the most obnoxious, because you have just a little bit of space,
Yeah,
right? So you
I
have to
agree.
deal with all of that.
I
And
agree.
but then you can't put the same thing that you'd put on Twitter on LinkedIn, because it's all abbreviated and hashtagged. And I mean, you can some of it, but you kind of have to develop it out for.
Yeah.
And then then you got to go to Instagram, which you can't do on your computer. You have to go to your phone.
I know. That's
And I
true.
can't see my phone unless it was this big. So I'm like going, I hate this because I can't see it. But so you can't, so I'll post it, but then I got to get it on my computer and look at it so I could actually read it. And then I got to go back and fix it on my phone. And so, okay, so then you got that. And then you have, you've got just all these different social media,
But you
realms.
see, everybody, what you may or may not know about Dr. Diane is that she is a brilliant techie. For those of us who are more like me, who are not such brilliant techies, but imbued with so much content that we want to get out,
Mhm.
it's very frustrating. And it has taken me so long to go from platform to platform to platform. And in the past, I had some people doing this for me. But ultimately, nobody can do your content the way you can do your
No,
content.
no.
You might have people managing it, but ultimately, you have got to do this
It's
yourself.
tough. I tried, using like the Hootsuites and the Meet
Oh,
Edgar
yeah.
and Metigy, and some of those are fine for Twitter to repost certain things. But as far as what you write and what you can't actually put together, I think I have to do it myself. Nobody's going to know what I want.
That's true.
But
And how about when you hit a Twitter and
mhm,
you have to extract words from it because it's not going to fit. Your message is not going to fit the way you had intended it to be.
yeah.
And now you're changing around words. Somebody else can't do that for you.
No, no, it's very challenging because Twitter's meant for total interaction. I mean, like Tom Peters, who wrote to In Search of Excellence, is on my show, and he's constantly on Twitter, and I see him constantly interacting and engaging, and that's his place. I mean, he loves it there. And for me, I'm much more on LinkedIn, but other people might want to be more on Instagram. For me, visually, unless I keep taking pictures of myself doing my radio show, I'm sitting here at my desk the whole day. You know what I mean? It's not how many pictures of this do you need? You know what I mean? Not a lot. So I'm not out and about in it because of the COVID situation doing my speaking where I can take pictures of me in the airport or pictures of me doing that. And I'm sick of looking at me anyway. So I don't like to do as much on the picture ones as I like to share things on more of the business ones. And so you got to find the ones where you're audience is who you're speaking to, the people who are more likely to do what you're asking them to do. I mean, if you're trying to consult, then you want to be around business professionals. If you're trying to speak about your interior design company, you want to be on Instagram, you want to have a visual aspect.
Well,
But I think you need to be on all of them, it's the problem.
We don't even talk about Pinterest.
Huh?
We
Oh,
don't even
Pinterest. I have a Pinterest page. I never use it.
I don't either. I have an account also. I don't use it.
I don't use it for me. I look at things on Pinterest, but I go to other people's Pinterest page, but I don't post stuff because that's more of a collection. I think I see it as, if you want to find all the best purple dresses, or if you want to plan a wedding, or if you want to, do whatever it is. But for a radio show consultancy kind of thing, like what I'm doing, nobody's going to look for me on Pinterest. So you have to find where your customers are. And you might have some, I don't know. Have you seen any of speakers and stuff doing Pinterest? I haven't really even looked there.
I haven't, and I haven't been on there for a very long time because.
Oh, it's great for visual things. I mean, collections.
Well, if I wanted to look at pictorials all day long, I mean, that's the place to see ideas and whatnot, but that's not my area.
Right. So you have to find where your customers are, is really the whole thing.
I'm mostly on LinkedIn and Facebook business page, and
me too.
And personal things on Twitter. So I post on Twitter. Occasionally I have interaction, but not that much. But my LinkedIn
is probably where I've gotten the most business, the most, relationships. Every once in a while, I'll pick up somebody big on Twitter who wants to speak about certain things, but it's generally LinkedIn. And I used to pay for the extra special LinkedIn version when I was first new at building my clients and business. And it was worth it at the beginning, but after a while, I don't need access to a lot of the stuff. Yeah. So I don't do that anymore. But, that's something that if you need to search by CEO and specific titles in certain areas and how long and who they're connected to, and have more in-mail messages to people, then it might be worth it. But at this point, with 20,000 plus whatever people I have on there now, and then you only can get 30,000. So I try not to get too many who aren't really good connections who you really interact with, because you're going to eventually top out, and then they can only follow you, and then you can't really have those meaningful conversations if they're just following you.
Yeah, well, I think that more in line with what we do in business, our interest would be on LinkedIn. Other than that, the others are just fun. And TikTok, I posted not too long ago some kind of statement about some relationship issue that was happening in the pop culture world where I am housed.
Right.
And I couldn't believe I got so many people who viewed it.
I had a lot. I only did the one of my dog doing the happy dog.
Well, that dog was doing a tap dance, and that dog should have been.
It was fun. I just want to see what you had to do one. You know what I mean? And so I did one because the techie in me, and I had quite a few people look at it, and I'm like, "Who's looking at it?" I'm not even friends with any of these people, and it was kind of interesting to see how much people find you if you have something that they find entertaining.
Well, but if you're into entertaining, I'm more into entertaining.
Yeah.
And entertainment business is what I do. So I know my audience, and I know where to find them some of the time, but there are so many crossovers lately because, pop culture here. Yet I'm also, I mean, I don't make any sense to any statisticians. Because I'm also.
You're a big Venn diagram is what you are, and you got to find where the circles are.
My circles probably look like this on my Venn diagram.
I don't know if you have an intersection in the middle. I don't know.
Well, I'm not so sure because,
Yeah,
who in pop culture also has been a college professor at a business school teaching MBA courses
right, right.
and loving the theoretical frameworks of
Well,
all
I
the
think that
business.
really
I
helps.
love that stuff.
Yeah, I do too. But I think, it's interesting to find the things that work for you. And then just not limit yourself to just one thing sometimes, because yeah, I think COVID's taught us you can't have all your eggs in one basket, because if one area crashes and that's your only thing you know how to do,
Well,
then
this
you're a
is
problem.
well, even in my own life, if we were
Mhm.
to talk about autobiographical uh, revisiting, um, I was doing so much work in corporations for so many years, and then there was a big crash,
Yeah.
not dissimilar from the pandemic today. So I was in corporate America, making a lot of money, doing a lot of fabulous work, improving bottom lines everywhere I looked. It was great. But then there was this crash. At the time, I said, now what am I going to do? At the time, while I was doing this, uh-huh, okay, you know it, girl.
You like Gilda. Hold up my book.
The name of her book is How to Reinvent Yourself.
Oh, your career.
Oh, How to Reinvent Your Career.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. That's an older book. I use it to support my keyboard. I have two of them here. So that's why it's here.
At the time, I was also starting to make some appearances on television.
Yeah, I miss
So
that right now.
I miss live audience. I just miss my live audiences. I miss them terribly. I miss, I just miss making a controversial statement and seeing their eyes and then
I
go,
love the shock
"Ah,
value.
and watch these epiphanies. I miss
It's
that.
getting close to coming back. I got booked to speak for Thinkers 50 coming up, in their big thing they do in November. And normally it's going to be in London.
I was going to ask, is it?
And yeah, and I'm sure they're going to have to do it virtually. And it's just not the big, it's just tough. And I'm thinking, oh, that'd be so wonderful. I mean, that's a who's who of who's a genius in the room. And, I loved going to their event last year, the year before, whenever it was, before COVID. It's been years now. So you think, how are they going to make it be the same? How can you can't make, even the Steve Forbes event I wasn't part of, for every year for so long. Last year they did it virtually, and it's great because they're wonderful speakers. It's the same speakers, but there's that dynamic energy that you get of standing next to him or whomever,
No,
and
I really and truly miss that.
yeah.
I miss the camaraderie, the making friends with people. If not for a big event that I did at the very start of my career, I was on a stage. Sally Jesse Raphael was manning this thing. It was the biggest event in New York, and I was one of the speakers, and it was in the green room that one of the speakers, now I didn't even have a book. I was, I mean, in comparison to everybody else, I was lucky that they asked me to speak. Um, and I didn't have a book. And in the green room, it was a guy who said to me, what's the name of your book? Because everybody else had a book. I said, I don't have a book. And that weekend, I went home and I started writing a book.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was Don't Bet on the Prince. And how fortunate, I mean, and the rest is history about that. But I had no idea, how do you write a whole book? How do you have so many words to say? Now you can't shut me up. But I was there. My mentality was there at one time.
Yeah.
And so when I see my clients come to me and they go, oh, I'm hopeless. I can't do this. I can't. I said, oh, no, 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 no. You're not any more hopeless than anybody else I have worked with, or even myself at one point. I
That-
mean, I never had I thought in advance, well, we get from A to B by doing C and D, and that will lead me, and super planning. But that has never worked for me.
Mhm.
It's just that I would go out and do things and connect with people. I miss those connections. It was fun. It was we were
Yeah.
we were like-minded people all in the same room together, all with the same goal together. It was beautiful. And
I just wonder how things will change. I mean, just think of how much television has changed. I mean, it seems like all the shows are the same in some ways. You keep, like the talk shows are not like they used to be. You're getting everything is just very bland or something. I don't know, or the same and too much the
well, this
same.
is why this is
Huh?
coming from the Hollywood background of being in the entertainment world for so long. This is what they do. They give somebody a contract and they say, okay, so now you're going to be a judge on a show, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And we know that this is going to be successful because judge shows work. So
Right,
they don't want to take a chance.
right,
It's very expensive to take a chance on a
right.
television show. Those are fortunes spent.
Yeah.
So they say, well, he's contractually bound to us anyway. So we'll hire him for another judge show and another judge show. We know judge shows work. The problem is that the viewers are starting to say, they have started to say a long time ago, because television has gone downhill until the pandemic came back and there was little else to do when you're locked in your house, except if you write books like we do. But but people were saying after a while, there is nothing to watch on television because the people in the know don't want to take that financial risk.
Well, now, where they couldn't film anything because of COVID and the few
Right.
things that are out there. I mean, everybody's binge watching things from 30 years ago. I'm just wondering how successful movies and things will be. I mean, I remember getting to see Cruella when it came out. I'm like, it's a movie. I don't care if it's a kid movie. I don't care what it is. It's something new is out, and I think we're going to see maybe some of that'll come into the speaking world because we're so starved for that live interaction that maybe it'll come back better than a lot of people are forecasting. You just don't know exactly what it's going to be. I think so many people are tired of looking at talking heads on these platforms. I mean,
Oh,
it's better
yeah.
than nothing, but
How about
maybe,
tired? How about tired of being a talking head?
yeah, that's bad, but if they could do anything with, like I showed that the virtual glasses or something that, something unique. I'm just curious what the next thing's going to be.